Viewer discretion is advised. The book for this episode is filled with smut, and thus discussion around sex and kinks is prevalent throughout the review. If you are under 18, please go somewhere else, such as a cozy video game, or hug a tree. Thank you.
Hey Book Crows, I am Thyme. I will be your host today, and I am joined by my co-host, as always, Beryl, unless I got a new one suddenly, I don't know.
That can happen sometimes.
And today we will be reviewing Tusk Love by Thea Guanzon. I hope I pronounced that right. I did look it up. But before we get into that, Beryl, have you purchased or read any new books today, recently?
Oh, I've been writing a lot. That's the biggest issue is it's midterms, so it's like 3 research papers, 2 group projects, and all the normal midterm stuff minus actual tests.
It's already midterms? I feel like you just started.
It's 16-week classes, and I'm starting week 8 this week, so it's midterms.
Yay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll actually have this be a review book, but for the cozy winterness of life, autumnness of life, because it is October 5th, everybody, when we are recording this, I decided to read Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice. I'm about halfway. It's something. I might do it as an episode. I haven't decided yet.
Maybe next year.
The face you're making. Maybe next year. There we go. Maybe next year.
Is Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice another sex book?
No. The main character is a sophomore in high school.
Oh, thank the gods. I was worried there for a second.
Were you worried it was going to be some, like, weird, kinky book?
White girls nowadays?
The main character hates pumpkin spice lattes, actually. That is a big theme in the book. She hates pumpkin spice lattes, and, like, for the first 2 chapters, every other moment was, pumpkin spice lattes don't even have real pumpkin in them!
Okay, while I share that sentiment, because I love pumpkin, and I am consistently...
Disappointed?
Disappointed by the lack of pumpkin and pumpkin spice. Don't make hating pumpkin spice your entire personality. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah. It did great on me for the first 3 chapters, but you gotta get past that part, and then it's okay. So far. I'm halfway through. It might go downhill, I don't know. But to be fair, it's called pumpkin spice latte, not pumpkin latte.
Oh, you're
Pumpkin
correct.
Spice is an actual seasoning.
Fun fact, Starbucks did actually recently, I think 3 years ago, change the pumpkin spice lattes to actually have pumpkin in them. So they taste good now.
Yeah, they're actually pretty good now. They're actually orange, too. Like, you see the orange.
You can actually, because it's actually pumpkin. Also, as a personal preference, I prefer apple spice to pumpkin spice. And the difference between apple spice and pumpkin spice is that apple spice doesn't have ginger in it.
I have a bone to pick with Starbucks, okay? There's a small change. I don't know if we'll keep this in here or not. They got rid of their caramel apple spice cider drink.
No!
They did! They did! We went to order one when the pumpkin drinks came out because Dalton can't have coffee. And they got rid of the one thing he could drink that's seasonal.
What the fuck, Starbucks? Starbucks got rid of my favorite drinks every few years. They have a drink that I really like, and then they get rid of it, and then they bring something I really want to have, and then I can't have it because of my stupid allergies. Look at you, lavender drinks at Starbucks.
Yeah, to be fair, the drink that's actually good now that they just came out with is a really long drink. Their shaken espresso brown sugar oat milk drink. So it's dairy free. It's got the coffee in it. You can get it decaf. It's pretty yummy.
All right. The thing about the apple spice cider is that works for 2 seasons, and you can take it all the way through Christmas. You might as well just keep it around.
Yeah.
What's going on, dude?
I just make it at home. I don't make the actual drink. I don't put caramel in it. I just throw apple juice into a pot with some spices, and then I heat it up, and then it turns into deliciousness. And then, when I want to get real fancy, I'll throw a splash of orange and cranberry juice in there.
Ooh. I'm down. I'm in.
So if you come for Yule this year, that's what you'll be drinking.
It's a great question what I'm doing for Yule.
You're like, I don't know. I have a job now.
Yeah. I don't have anything over Thanksgiving, so there's a good chance I'll be in Portland for Thanksgiving.
See the cats. Yes.
Absolutely.
All right, on to the episode. I was very disappointed after taking the dust jacket off. It's just this weird orange yellow thing. But the thing about the dust jacket that readers won't get to see, maybe I'll do the 2 pictures of it, is this is the main cover, okay, with the pretties. Mm-hmm. But then the inside cover has the character art. Oh. Because this is a Critical Role book. Disclaimer, I know nothing about Critical Role. I have heard of it. I have not watched or listened to it. So I'm going in blind with this book. I'm judging it on the merit of the book and the book alone. So don't come at me, D&D gamer nerds. Don't come at me.
You are a D&D gamer nerd.
I am a D&D gamer nerd. I just haven't listened to... I know the Matt Mercer memes. I have not watched him. I'm sorry, Matt. Maybe after I finish all your books, okay? Because I have the rest of them.
All right.
All right. So we start out with Guinevere. This is a dual perspective book, and this is actually a really good example of how to do dual perspective books. So that other person who did one in Swordcrossed, take notes, okay? Take notes. We start out with Guinevere, and she is upset because she's her wagon is under attack by bandits. It's not good. And she's like, oh god, everyone is dead. I'm going to die. And she is very trying to keep her emotions under control because she has wild magic. So she's like a wild mage. She has and she was not taught how to control it. So as far as she's concerned, anytime she gets upsetty spaghetti, she catches everything on fire and things die. So she is trying to, not do that. Because she's on the way to, I think it was Nicodranus was the city. I didn't write it down. Apologies. And she has all of her family's wares and things in with her that she doesn't want to lose. She doesn't want to kill the oxen and things. But then she gets pulled out of the wagon by these bandits, and they're like, ooh, what is this silver necklace around your neck? And they go to grab it, and they're like, oh, so there's this weird totem thing on it. They know what it is. And then she's like, terrified, they're gonna kill me. And then her wildflower spirit is just like, all right, I'm coming out, I'm killing people. And she sets the entire forest on fire, which is not ideal.
Poor girl.
Poor girl, yeah. So then, just as she's about to be, murdered by an orc, a arrow shoots through this guy's hand, and they both stare at it, and they're like, what the heck? And then in comes our leading man, Oscar, spelled with a K. This is an original name, Oscar. And he is a half-orc. We don't learn what the other half is, so I'm going to just assume it's something boring like human.
Yeah.
Or if they did say it, I didn't remember it. Even though I listened to this twice on audiobook. So, he doesn't actually kill the orc, but he, disarms after this amazing flurry of blades from Guinevere's perspective. She is in awe at Oscar fighting this orc. And he goes and saves her, and she's like, oh no, I need to flee. I need to save the oxen. So she takes something off the ground and, smashes the ropes so that the oxen can flee. And then she goes into the burning wagon and grabs a satchel and this trunk that she's been trying to keep hidden. And Oscar's like, bruh, leave it. She's like, no, I can't. So then he picks up the trunk and they flee and they go to this cave, and Oscar's like, okay, what's in this satchel that was so, great that you had to, save? And because he's thinking there's supplies in it, and to his horror, there is not. There is just cups and trinkets and shit. And she's like, this is my parents' inventory. And he's like, you risked my life for fucking trinkets?
So her parents' inventory, her parents are...
She's meeting her parents. The entire point was she was on her way to meet her parents in Nicodranus, which is across the country. Okay. Her parents are merchants.
Okay. I'm pretty sure her parents would have... Wait, are her parents assholes and they wouldn't have preferred if she was alive from that? Oh my god.
I'm getting there.
Oh god.
I'm getting there.
I don't know how to add the head shake, the head nod. Thyme does head nod. Can I get a Dalton saying that? Time was there in your head.
So, Oscar, despite his, hatred for, well, not hatred, extreme dislike for how prim and hoity-toity, his words, she is, he can't help but notice how gorgeous Guinevere is. And so he goes off and goes to get food and hunting and stuff, and then in the morning, he's like, all right, my plan is I'm going to take you with me to my village, and you can go your way, and I can go my way, and we will never see each other again. And she's like, okay. And at one point, she's bawling because she realizes she has led him out of his way and all this stuff. Like, there's literal moments where she's just in tears. And she's very much raised in a prim, proper lady fashion. How boring. And so he does that. He takes her, and at one point she's like, wait, where am I going to stay? And he's like, at my house. And she's like, no, I have to follow the rules. I can't stay at this man's house by him, but with just us. And so she actually tries to, like, barter with a guy at a tavern, and he's like, no. And so Oscar's like, well, guess you're coming with me. And he's already very protective of her. He's, like, covering her face with a cloak so that people can't see what she looks like, stuff like that. And so they stay the night, and Guinevere, in all of her Guinevere-ness, decides, okay, Oscar told me that the people in this neighborhood, their bark is worse than their bite. So I'm going to go out, and I'm going to go be useful, and I'm going to go barter for stuff. That way I can get all the supplies we need for our trip that Oscar mentioned that I will need. And she runs into this guy who has a bloody knife in his hand. And she's like, excuse me, sir, where are the shops? And he's like, what? And so this other guy starts coming out of this alley that this guy came out of, and he's like, Jimmy Butcher, you asshole, and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, you're not a criminal, you're just a butcher. And these guys are like, what? And so these guys, I have no idea if their original point was they were just gonna rob her or what, but these guys decide, we need to go with this lady to go barter for stuff and go get her supplies. They end up carrying her bags and everything. They, like, shoot daggers, like, glances at people who are, like, looking at Guinevere too long. Like, they're like, this girl's stupid. We need to protect her. Okay? So then Oscar wakes up, figures out she's not here, hears who she's with, and is like, oh my god! Like, breaks up a fight that actually breaks out around her at one point. And he's like, what the heck are you doing with gang leaders? And she's like, they're not gang leaders. He's like, yeah, they are. And so the gang leaders literally look at her and go, well, she was quick to trust us. You need to take care of her, Oscar. And he's like, obviously, this girl's stupid.
She's so stupid. Oh my god.
Like, you can, right off the bat, she is so sheltered. It is a bit hilarious, though. So begins their travels. They barter for horses and stuff like that. But also, so begins the subplot of horniness. Because Oscar notices right away that, her bum region is near his nether regions. And things get excited. So that happens for a couple days. And then they end up getting attacked by bandits. Now, I don't remember if before or after they get attacked by bandits is when it's revealed that what is in this chest that is so... I think it's before the bandit attacks. What's in this chest that is so valuable that she would not leave it is her dowry. She's going to not only meet her parents, but also get married.
Okay, I could respect her needing the chest a little bit more then.
Yeah. So you find out along the lines, there's this whole subplot thing where you find out that, especially from her perspective, her parents are absolutely horrible. They comment on how she should just be dead several times. They have made it so she has no self-esteem. She's afraid of herself. They did not want her to learn anything about her magic, so she's afraid to even use it. She doesn't know how to use it because she was never trained. And you find out that her parents were like, yeah, in exchange for status and wealth, you'll marry our daughter. And the only reason the guy agreed to marry her was because of this specific magical set of jewelry that is in this chest. So we don't originally know what all this is, but that is what it turns out to be. Mm-hmm. And that's why, yeah.
This poor girl.
Yes, this poor girl. So they get attacked by bandits, and Oscar notices a very distinct thing about the female bandit, who is a half-orc, half-elf. And he notices right away her eyes are a certain color, and that comes in later on as well. But so they end up being able to escape, and not be tracked further. And Oscar's pissed because he's like, well, now there's mercenaries after me. I didn't sign up for this shit. They go into this swamp, boggy area, and so begins some of the steam. Because Guinevere has a nightmare that's also a memory of her father standing over her with another dude, and her father has a knife with him. Oscar wakes her up before anything else goes further, and so begins some steamy kissing and things, which then, sadly, to Oscar's aghast, gets interrupted by wolves howling or whatever. And he's like, well, I gotta stand guard and stuff like that. And then they, keep traversing the next day, and there are mosquitoes everywhere, and Guinevere is having a time, and she gets angry, and this giant appears. I think it was a giant. I'm pretty sure it was a giant. And she gets so upset about everything going on around her that she just starts yelling at this giant, and the giant is like, what the hell? This giant doesn't know what the hell to do.
This girl is like a reverse Disney princess in the most Disney princess way, and I love her so much.
Yes. Guinevere grows on you a lot in this book. And so the giant being confused to shit gives Oscar the ability to kill it, take it down, and he realizes that there's another wild mage. I don't remember what the wild mage was. It was part giant, I believe. And so this wild mage is like, well, you didn't have to kill it. Like, I could have tamed it, that's his entire thing that he does, is he's in charge of this area. And so they travel for a bit with them because they realize they are completely off course from where they want to go. And this wild mage is like, you, lady, you're also a wild mage. You just have no idea what the heck you're doing. So he helps her get in touch a bit with the fire spirit that's inside of her, whose name is Thyme, by the way. And he realizes, he's like, there's someone after you that has magic, like really powerful magic. I don't know who it is, but someone is. And at one point, Oscar actually walks in when they're doing the meditation thing where she's getting in touch. And Guinevere freaks out. She's like, oh, yeah, this guy figured out this, and this. And yeah, like subtly is like, no, don't hint that I have magic or whatever. Because she believes Oscar does not know. Oscar's not an idiot. He does know. Yeah. He saw her casting fire earlier. And so eventually they get to this little tavern area thing. And in exchange for rooms, Oscar says that he will chop wood and stuff. Because Guinevere still does not want to, end up meeting her parents and having no wares. She is adamant. She cannot let her parents down, even though they're already going to be disappointed in her, because her guards are dead. Yeah. And they have no oxen. While Oscar's out chopping wood, Guinevere, because Tynid convinces her, drinks some ale, and she gets very drunk.
Oh boy.
And so Oscar leads her to, comes in, sees that she's drunk as heck, and is like, what the heck? So he eats his dinner and stuff, gets some food and water in her. They eventually go up to their room. By the way, there's only one bed. Obviously.
Yeah.
And Oscar's like, no, you're sleeping. You're going to bed. You're going to hate yourself in the morning. I'm going to sleep on the floor. I don't remember if they actually stay like that, but at one point while she's drunk, she's like, I like kissing you, Oscar. And then she snoozes. And in the morning, she wakes up, obviously has a hangover. And she goes out to figure out where Oscar is. He's chopping wood again. And gosh, he is chopping wood without a shirt on. In all of his Oscar-ness. You're dying over there.
So obnoxiously straight, but that's the point.
It is. And so she's like admiring him and everything. And at one point in her Tynan in her head goes it like starts admiring him too. She literally purrs and Guinevere gets upset. So then they continue their traversing and they end up at this like river area. I think there's even a waterfall, I don't remember. And she's like, no, I need a bath. So they go and she's bathing, and at one point she realizes she forgot the soap, so she asks Oscar to go bring her the soap. And so begins the first of the sexy scenes. Nothing, for lack of better ways of saying this, penetrative, but, you know, hands are involved. At one point, parts are rubbing together. Okay. Trying to be as PG-13 as possible.
This is an 18-plus episode at this point.
Yeah, there's an 18. It is.
I've read the Guanzon's other works, the Hurricane Wars, and there's some... Honestly, she knows how to write a good scene. So
she does. She does. Like the scenes are really good. There is one part I don't like about this scene where before parts start rubbing together without going in, Oscar literally says, "I'm sorry, I have to," and I like grabbed my chair and was like, "Is this about to, you know, get a little but it doesn't. Things just start rubbing, and yeah. And so they travel some more, and then they get attacked by bandits again. They actually find a group that they travel with for a bit, and the bandits attack, and then they leave the group. And that was a bit of a fun scene because there was little goblin children annoying the shit out of Oscar. And there was a horny bard in there who was a goblin. And so they stay at another inn, and at this point, Oscar sees a woman who has the exact same eyes as the bandit leader. So that's how he knows that's who it is. She's just taken a potion, so she's in disguise. And so he goes and gets a room for Guinevere and them. Again, one bed. All the beds are gone in this town. It's peak travel season, okay? That's literally the in book thing. Peak travel season.
Amazing.
And so Oscar's like, I'm gonna go get us some sandwiches. You know, I hear there's this place where it's the best in the town. He goes, and she sees him walk into an alley with this lady. And she gets very upset. And she's also thinking, like, I have been, you know, leading Oscar out of his way this whole time. I have him in danger because of who I am, all of this stuff. So she starts writing a note that's I'm sorry, I'm leaving. This is the truth. I have magic, all this stuff. And as she's about to leave, trying to drag this flippin' trunk out the door, she runs into Oscar. He's like, you know that meme with the guy holding the smoothie with the ostrich? That's that scene. He's like, what are you doing there? And she's like, nothing.
Spencer with the ostrich and Carly going.
Yes.
A milkshake?
That is literally the scene.
Oh my god. Good old iCarly references.
And he's like, he comes in, he even brings food and everything. He's like, so do you want to argue now or later? And he sees the letter and he reads it. And he's like, yeah, I already know you have magic, dumbass. And she's like, well, what were you doing with the night dove? And he's like, night dove? Oh, you mean Set? And she cuts him off. Because she's like, I don't want him to say S-worker. And he's like, but that was the bandit leader. I was interrogating her. Getting information.
We love a miscommunication that's instantly fulfilled. Like, instantly cleaned up. Oh.
I was very happy it was cleaned up very quickly. And so begins the first penetrative smexy scene.
How did they get from miscommunication clear up to sexy?
They start talking and things, and he starts placating her and like saying nice things. Stuff happens, okay? Technically it also there's another scene in the morning that's off script, off paper. And so they start traveling again. And at one point in their travels, Guinevere just starts getting annoyed by everything, including Oscar himself, to which I realized what it was real quick, and it's because she is horny.
Okay.
So she angry because of that. So then begins another scene up against a tree. And then there's another one where they're in this, like, avalanche zone where there's a bunch of other people around them, like, close to where they're going. So they have to be quiet while that happens. like I said, spicy book. There's a reason this is described as saucy and spicy, okay? So they finally get to where they're going. And at one point, she's like, well, I need to change into something nicer. And there was another scene that was similar where she meets someone that she knows. And there's this very clear distinction of she does not want to be seen as less than. So Oscar feels very much I am very, like, clearly not, we live in two different worlds type thing. And Oscar has already decided, without talking to Guinevere or anything, that he's gonna go let her get married and stuff like that, and they'll never see each other again. Like, he's decided that without even having a simple conversation. Despite the fact that Guinevere's been enjoying her life, just being free and carefree and getting to do whatever she wants. You're rubbing your temples already. Oh god. I haven't even gotten to that part yet.
No!
So we meet Guinevere's parents. They're assholes. Like, they are so upset. And they're like, our guards are dead. They were good people. How could you do that? All this other stuff. And Oscar's like, I'm gonna kill these people. And enters the fiancé. And he is way too nice. He is way too nice. It's suspicious. He even is like, oh, Oscar, you clearly have to stay for the festivities and the ball. And Oscar's like, I don't want to. I don't want a reward. No, he's like, I insist. So Oscar does stay for the ball and everything. And we get to the night of the ball. I'm summarizing, okay? This is a short one. I'm summarizing.
Okay.
So there's still some mystery for the people. So the night of the ball happens, and Guinevere realizes that she can just leave. Like, she doesn't have to go through with any of this. She doesn't want any of this. She doesn't want to be in this world. She can just leave, run away with Oscar, and live happily ever after. So that's what she does. She excuses herself at one point from the ball, and she goes to find Oscar, because she has not seen him all night. He was supposed to be there. And she finds him readying the horses. And she's like, wait, what are you doing? And so she goes and is, like, basically telling him her grand plan and whatever. And he's a little bitch, okay? I would not have forgiven him, but I'm me. So he starts telling her things like people have needs on the road and things like that. There was no feelings between them, despite the fact that there obviously was, and he was acting like there was. Like I said, he's a bitch. He's an asshole.
God damn it.
So she's obviously upset.
Emotional man and so annoying.
Yeah, he's an asshole. Completely. Like, he's like, we're from completely different worlds, you know, things like that. So she leaves because she's upset. And rightfully gets kidnapped.
Rightfully gets kidnapped?
Basically, she runs into this dead body. And she's like, wait, what? And then she turns around and she sees this person who's supposed to be this magical, famous singer. And she's like, oh, thank goodness. Yeah, she's the bandit in disguise. Knocks Guinevere right out. Oscar realizes what's happened too late, because the travelers that they traveled with, the goblin and them, had given him this necklace that's supposed to glow when people around have evil intentions in mind. So he sees it glowing, he's like, oh shit. But by this point, it's too late. Guinevere and her fiancé have been kidnapped. They are not on the premises. So Oscar starts readying the guards and everything to go find them. To which point we find out that the dowry, that this, you know, magical set, it was stolen. Her father stole it from a mage. He stole it, and yeah. So the mage wants it back. Hence the mercenaries after them.
Well, that's not her fault, is it?
Well, we also find out that the reason why the mercenaries want her and the chest is because only her blood can unlock it, but she has to do it willingly.
There's been blood play this entire time and you didn't tell me?
Well, I was waiting for the big twist.
Okay, alright.
So that's the memory that she had of her father over her with a knife, was he was magically enchanting this chest so that only she can open it.
Wow, what a dick.
I know! And that's why, and they were going to reveal it and everything. She was going to find out about this whole thing after she was married so she could give the dowry to her husband.
Oh my god.
Because this entire time, she does not know.
This poor girl.
She didn't even know it was in the box.
Reverse Disney princess.
Yes. So she wakes up on a ship, and the mage is there, and he's, I think it's called like an Eric Cockra or something. He's a bird person.
Oh, okay.
All I can say. And the other bandit lady's there, and her fiance's there, and her fiance's like, what the heck's going on? No, I'm not what do you mean? I'm not going to marry her if I don't get to keep the jewelry. And literally the bandit lady looks at Guinevere and goes, this is the guy you're going to marry? And Guinevere's like, no!
She's got taste.
Literally, both the bad guy and the bandit are like, seriously, you're going to marry this guy? And she's like, no, I'm not marrying him.
She's like, fuck him.
I actually was like, yeah, I am on the side of the bad guy.
Yeah.
Because, like, he just wants his stuff back.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he kidnapped her, and he just wants his shit back. Understandable. So, he threatens to kill her fiancé, and she's like, no, I'm not going to open the chest. Do whatever you want with him. I don't give a shit. And they hear stuff overhead, and the bandit... I keep saying bandit. Mercenary lady goes upstairs. Oscar, at this point, promptly throws her overboard because he is there with people to go save Guinevere. So he drops down where Guinevere and the bad guy is, and they get into a little tussle, to which point Oscar is wounded to the point where he could die.
Oh no.
And Guinevere this entire time is, like, trying to open up her magic because she realizes that the reason she can't use her magic around Oscar, because she's tried when they've been attacked, is because she's afraid of hurting Oscar while using her magic. So she's blocking herself from using it.
Aww.
So at this point, Oscar's wounded, and she's like, no, I will open the chest if you use one of the magic items that you said is in there that can heal him. And the guy's like, oh yeah, I'll fucking open it. And so then she opens the chest, and she's like, okay, heal him. And he's like, yeah, about that. To which point I was like, okay, just kill him already, He went back on his word. The guy's like, see, I still want revenge on your dad for being a dick. And I'm like, fair, go kill the dad. Don't kill her. He doesn't give a shit about his daughter. Like, whatever. So then Guinevere finally is able to release Tynid. The guy dies, instantly. She uses the magical thingy to heal him. And then they get in a little rowboat and begrudgingly take the fiancé with them. And then she forgives Oscar. She gives her parents one of the only magic items that they took with them. And it's like, yeah, the rest are at the bottom of the ocean. Good fucking luck, guys. And then they ride off into the sunset or whatever.
Adorable.
Yeah, it's a very corny book. I gave it like a 3.5 because I do have some things, like the things I have that I don't like are minor. It's not an amazing book, but it is a book you can read multiple times. Like I said, I listened to it twice in order to remember what the heck was happening.
Yeah.
I have a few talking points. One of my big issues is Oscar's written like he's supposed to be this, valiant, chivalrous guy, but he has moments where, in my opinion, he's still not the greatest. Like I said, he made entire life-altering choices for Guinevere without having a conversation or taking her feelings into account. Mm-hmm. But there's also a moment where she goes in and she gets because he loses his weapons at one point. So when they're in one of the villages, she barters the last of her wares so that he can get some of the finest weapons that are available. And he actually, in his own words, talks about how she can't help the thoughts that enter that pretty head of hers. I'm like, that's a little uncalled for. Okay,
yeah.
Like I said, he's written in this, obviously supposed to be better and chivalrous than everyone else. But he still has some moments where I'm like, that's a bit, misogynistic. But I also know that even some of the greatest men have a little bit of that because of how, society tends to view women. So it's not like the biggest deal, but it irks me a little bit personally. This is where things are definitely going to get a little bit on the PG-18 side. I have to say this. This book's written by a woman, okay? Yeah. It's written by a woman. Do people not understand that virginity does not change how tight things are?
I guess they don't.
The only thing that alters how tight or loose things are down in that region is childbirth.
Quick question, though. Who was the person commenting on how tight it is?
Oscar. So the first scene where things are not penetrative, it's just hand stuff. The next day, he straight up says, "You're a virgin, aren't you?" And she says, "Yes." And he's like, I knew because there was no other way she would be that tight.
So, part of the problem with why people think that virginity has something to do with tightness is the fact that, like, the first time you have sex, in either the first time or in a long time, oftentimes it stretches things out in a way that haven't been stretched out in either a while or ever.
Yeah.
And that can be misconstrued as tightness, but it's really just do a better job at lubricating the woman. Come on. The pussy needs to get lubricated, you bitches.
Like, it irked me because that's something that you hear constantly on, like, man, misogyny podcasts. It is things like that. And it's like, even the hymen myth is constantly used all the time. It expands and contracts, okay? It does not...
As long as it's wet enough, it will be however you need it to be.
You cannot tell if someone has or has not based on how tight you think it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And to all of those men who do podcasts who say things like, oh, it shouldn't be wet, that's a sign of a health issue. Like, just say that you're bad at sex.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest things, because I read that and I was like, come on, this is also a woman writing this. You should know better. Please.
Yeah.
Like, it's also a bit of a... It also says a lot about Oscar than it does about the author themselves in that aspect, because it all, like... And maybe it's just me, but I don't know. Like, to me, educate yourself. Please, for the love of God. Know how it works. I even Googled it to make sure I was in the right when I wrote this part of the script. When I wrote that talking point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do my research. I'm going to double check. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know how my own body works. I don't know. I know how my own body works. You know, I'm smart. But...
We're educated.
We're educated. Like...
That makes me want to go back and reread the parts of A Monsoon Rising to see if that was a plot point in A Monsoon Rising. That's the book that the main character loses her virginity in. There was a lot of sex in that book, too.
Yeah, and there's a lot in this. That's another talking point I have, is it annoys the crap out of me. And this is common in a lot of books nowadays. And we had the conversation of, some people write books with the thing in mind of there are housewives out there who get lost in these books for the fantasy aspect because their husbands don't know how to please them properly. It kind of reminds me a bit of that because the sex scenes in this book, like, it is the greatest thing that has ever happened to any living human being on the planet. Nothing can be better than this. And I understand, like, you can get lost in the moment. It's not mind-altering. It is not world-changing at all. It's just something to do.
I think it's the corniness of the type of book it's supposed to emulate.
Yeah, it's definitely it could be the fact that it's written for the corniness of it. And that is the thing. This, in the original Critical Role, this book was a throwaway thing for a bit. Like, on the side where it's the drawings of the in Critical Role thing, like Matilda Merceria, Matt Mercer. So it could be that aspect, there are, like, those old Harlequin romance novels, they're very corny, very Hallmark, with some hems.
Hell yeah.
To put it nicely. So there is that aspect of it. But I also know that's in a lot of books now. They're writing it as if it is the best thing since Betty White. Because why are we saying the best thing since sliced bread?
Absolutely. Best thing since Betty White.
Like, so for me, and I know I'm not the target audience for a lot of saucy books. I mean, you have to get me in that right time zone. So I tried to come at it as a very open mind. So it's like I said, the issues I have are very minute. They're not going to affect the average reader at all. For example, some of the things that I actually found really good about those scenes is the talk in them. Like, it can be, a bit of the degrading talk, but I don't have a big problem with that as long as it stays in those scenes. As long as it stays in the ritual of the escapade. Yeah. The second it escapes the escapade, we have a problem. There were a few times where I got a little thrown out by some of the talk in it, but it was very rare. It was only like once or something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's a pretty good spicy book. It serves its purpose. You know, if you're wanting to get your partner in the mood, just hand them this book.
So, quick question. If there is kinky stuff, like degrading stuff, is there at least aftercare representation?
None of it's like kinky or anything like that. It's literally just the talk.
You still need some aftercare after some degradation.
Yeah. There's no... I wouldn't say there's necessarily aftercare necessarily. And she does not have a problem with it at all. She actually finds it very thrilling in the book, which is fine, you know.
Okay.
And it's not like crazy degrading or anything like that. I just find it slightly like looking at it from the mindset of being a woman. I can find it a little bit. Not everyone will probably. I don't know. I'd have to go find a scene for that. I will say, if you want to have a really good time with this book, listen to it the way I did. I listened to it via the audiobook, and they do have 2 different narrators.
I love spicy audiobooks as the way to consume my spicy books.
Yeah, I'd have to find the scene. They're not, like, crazy. It's not like 50 Shades of Grey level.
You should still have some aftercare.
Yeah, you should, because some of it, the way that I'm saying that it can be a bit degrading is it definitely is sexual organ focused type talk. Which to me, I don't really like hearing, like, that sort of thing personally.
I feel it. Yeah.
Do you have any other questions?
I mean, it sounds accurate for the genre it is. It sounds like it was a good time. Pun intended.
One thing I really liked is this book had really good D&D representation in it. There was goblins, there was bards in it, there's, you know, fighters, magicians, stuff like that. They also, like I said, that half-orc, half-elf mercenary was a really good one. That's not something you see all the time. Most people think half-orc, they think half-human.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this is one of the only genres I will accept you describing his mansword as thick and large, because he's not human, okay?
Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing in books that it's the size of a peanut butter jar, okay? It ain't fitting. Don't do it. God.
Surely the humans, in D&D world lore, have adapted to having people around them they want to fuck with penises the size of peanut butter jars.
The amount of dragon seducery. The amount of times you hear I seduce the dragon. Honey, get ready to die.
The dragon can transform into a human form, you know?
Not all of them. You have
True.
to be, it has to be a specific age.
But that's what their tongue is for.
That's what their tongue is for. Probably more enjoyable.
Absolutely. Well, there's a clip of me on my computer, pre-testosterone, where I'm playing an Aarakocra. And the Aarakocra was a Steve Irwin druid, I believe. That's how I have this voice. Except this is post-testosterone, so I haven't done this voice in a really long time. But there's a recording of me doing that session. And at one point, we meet a dragon at the end of the session, and the DM the DM allows the dragon to ask everybody for one boon. And when the DM gets to me, I'm like, oh, I've been doing the bird fuck dance this entire time.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I had the idea of doing a Newt Scamander style character where the entire plot point of that character is they're writing the monster manual.
So Newt Scamander and Steve Irwin have an adventure together.
Yes.
Perfect.
That would be beautiful. To be fair, I also had the idea for an Ash Ketchum character. You know, he's got to catch them all.
Okay. Ash Ketchum, Newt Scamander, and Steve Irwin.
Ash Ketchum, Newt Scamander, and Steve Irwin walk into a bar.
Gotta catch them all, gotta write them all down, and gotta just say, oh, look at this massive, beautiful dude.
You know, it'd be perfect. You know, they come across a beautiful dragon. Honestly, I think the dragon would just be absolutely enamored by them. You couldn't hear it, but in the living room, Dalton apparently heard what we were saying, and he just goes, crikey. Yeah, I don't have a lot more to say, though. I mean...
It sounds like it's pretty straightforward. It's a kind of a meme book, taken halfway seriously, written for a fandom.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has... It's kind of like watching the Elvira parody movies. If you're taking it seriously, you're gonna hate it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're expecting this to be a Court of Thrones and Roses, as much as I hate that series, if you're going in with that mindset, you're not gonna like this book.
Yeah.
If you're expecting world-altering, fandom-making book.
If you picked up a book named Tusk Love and you expected anything more than what we just described here today, then what are you doing?
Yeah, as this says, a comforting read with a nice cup of tea. While one could easily scoff at the novel's spicy nature, the depth and yearning that Oscar and Guinevere share lights the proper spark for the love story's heat. I think that's actually a pretty good way of saying it. Also, that was from the character one.
So I do have, I guess, one question. Normally I am very critical of books that have multiple sex scenes because generally you don't even need one sex scene.
Yes.
And this one has multiple, and this isn't the first time that Thea Guanzon has written a book with multiple sex scenes. In fact, when I was reading A Monsoon Rising, I was taken aback by how many sex scenes were happening actively. Would you say this is a feeling that I had when... Okay, let me restart this. When I was reading A Monsoon Rising, even though it took me back and was like, whoa, there was a lot of sex, the book genuinely convinced me that those two characters couldn't keep their hands off of each other. Were you in the same boat where you're like, oh, this is a lot of sex, but it still makes sense?
I will say I do think there was probably a small amount that said there, like, the off-screen one felt like it didn't need to be there at all. The way it was described in the book was she accidentally touched down there, and he took it as a sign of that's what should be happening. You do feel that they're drawn to each other. From, like, the first moment that he meets her, he's instantaneously very attracted to her physically. You get a little bit of that from her, you know. You have the very poetic way of describing him, things like that. Mm-hmm. And you do understand, there is the aspect of the last few scenes, so the last two sex scenes. The one with the tree, she is, you know, she's figured out that her body can feel things, and now she's horny as heck. The very last one, her mindset is, this is the last time I'm going to be able to do this with anyone.
No.
That is Oscar, basically. I will also say, there was one small thing. This entire time they're traveling, he's expecting to hand her off to a guy she's supposed to be getting married to, who's human.
Yeah.
They never use protection. So every time it's penetrative, it happens inside.
No!
And there is no inkling that birth control is a thing.
I guess that's one of the things about these, like, Harley Quinn type novels is that they just rarely do that, and then like oftentimes an epilogue will happen afterwards. They're like, oh look, they had a baby, and like, no, stop. That was
a nitpick I had. Like, even in I hate actually bringing up my book as a way of like saying it. In my book, I literally have a side thing where the half orc. Wow, the amount of orcs that we're mentioning today. The half-orc medic on the ship, on the ship that she's living on now. She's like, wait, you guys are using protection, right? You're on the tonic, and my character's like, the tonic? What? What is this? And she's like, oh, honey, you're gonna start taking this right now.
It's interesting. Okay, in my book, when they start doing things in the second book, and they're stuck in the Feywilds, per her reasoning, he goes to his friend, the goddess but not quite goddess of love, and gets birth control that way.
Yeah, see, I have it as the tonic because my book is a D&D inspired book. It's my character's backstory, And the way that I have it is I have that happen. Like, the medic's like, I know you guys are active occasionally. When my character walks into the room carrying this bottle that's this tonic, and the love interest is like, what's that? She didn't say she was putting you on any medicine. Like, because my character literally got the shit beat out of him, okay? Like, the main character is rough. She's like, it's the she said I need to be on, and he looks at the bottle and goes, oh, I thought you were already taking this.
Oh my god.
He's like, but to be fair, your family probably thought that Marius would kill someone before anyone got close enough, so that was my bad.
Yeah.
Because she's from a royal family, and she's heavily protected. Like, she's not supposed to even be getting married or anything like that. So the entire thought process was, oh, she doesn't need to be on this. It's never going to happen.
Oh my god.
Joke's on them. It happens.
The thing is there's a lot of jokes about the fact that a lot of romantasy novels talk about protection and birth control in that sense, and kind of make fun of the fact that we writers continuously do that, but there's a reason we do. And shut up. If you're complaining about the use of birth control in a sexual story, then please reevaluate your life. That is actually a very important thing for a character development so that we can understand where the characters are in their life.
And I'm going to bring this back to one of the things that's in A Court of Thorns and Roses is the entire point is Feyre's supposed to be this, strong female character. Well, after she, gets married and stuff like that with, what's his name? I don't remember his name right now. Mr. Shadow Daddy number 5.
Reese.
Reese. Thank you. Riesland. Instantaneously, they start having kids. Like, they have 2 kids, and at one point she almost dies in the process of giving birth because
what?
Wings. Yes.
Oh my god. Oh,
and her sister's pissed.
I forget that the Shadow Daddy court in that book series is supposedly like sex slaves underneath a mountain and are secondhand citizens.
Yeah, they are, and that's the thing. Like, this is supposed to be, she's treated better. She's not, and you see that in the other books because it's not from her perspective; it's from the sisters.
Yeah.
So also, there's the aspect of so many women nowadays are not taught that they're supposed to be on birth control. Birth control's demonized. They're not supposed to be on it, so they can have a bunch of children, things like that. Like, there is a lack of autonomy. So having it in books shows that, this is something that is okay to do and to use and things like that. And I don't know, maybe practice safe sex.
Yeah. And to that credit, the curtains are not just blue. There's a reason. You mentioned the curtains are blue, the curtains are blue for a reason. We add these things for a reason.
That was a big thing. When I started to write mine, I did not want her to be just another, they have a kid at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I already said this in I don't know if it stayed in the episode. My book does not end happily. He dies. Hence, it's a D&D character backstory. He dies. I'm not going to traumatize her by being like, oh yeah, you're also pregnant. No! That's bad!
Yeah, that's fucked.
That's terrible! There's also the aspect of, they don't even know if it can happen. They're different species. He's human. She's a siren fairy. Can they actually? I don't know! I don't even know if Dalton knows, and he created the universe.
Fair.
I mean, mind you, I expanded it heavily by writing the book, but he started with the basis.
That makes sense. In sense of, like, my own story, because we've gone off of the topic of the book and are starting to talk about our stories as examples of sex in books and otherwise. In my story, I use my girlfriend as a sounding board for ideas oftentimes when I'm talking to her about my story. And it also doesn't end with a baby, but I was talking to her about a side story book where it's stories that take place after the events of the book. And without spoiling it, my main characters will become immortal beings by the end of the book.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And they are forever changed from it. They will not go back to who they were when they started the book. It, depending on how you want to read it, will either be tragic or beautiful. your choice.
Yeah, that's the same issue I have with if you play Baldur's Gate. Like, you gotta play, if you're romancing a Astarion, you gotta play like a drow or something.
Yeah.
You gotta. I do hope that, Critical Role is becoming hugely popular. Like I said, I have other books that are Critical Role based behind me. There's another one I want to get that I found out came out. And I have no idea about this universe, so it'll be real interesting for me to read them and try and figure out. They gotta write these in a way that you can't have to have watched the show,
Yeah.
I hope they don't do a sequel, because I feel like a sequel would ruin it heavily. This story's done. And, let fanfiction authors fanfiction what happens next or whatever. I can recommend it. If you don't like smut, this ain't for you, though.
Are you sure they're not going to release Musklove, werewolf or Tabaxi love story, and set in the same storyline, and they meet up with the characters at one point so that it's technically all connected, but it just keeps the story going because Madeline Mercia got so much money from the first one.
There actually is a book series. It's kind of like that. It's the retelling of Disney stories. They're all interconnected. They're all in the same universe, but they feel separate. You just occasionally have the other characters show up, because they are in the same universe. Honestly, if they do that, I would love to see them try and do that. Matt, if you will never hear this, but Matt, I dare you to write that as a book. I dare you to figure that one out. Yeah. Give us some musky husky love.
No.
Beautiful.
Okay.
All right, on that note, Beryl, the outro's yours. I have no idea what the next podcast episode is.
All right, guys. Tune in next week for The Otherwhere Post by Emily J. Taylor.